The Superman trailer has been released, and I have exploded in my pants. Hit that like button, baby. Hit that like button. Superman. We got a lot to talk about. Kind of, sort of. I don't know. They brought back the John Williams theme. Unbelievable. Re-recorded by John Murphy, apparently. Oh, when you heard this, did you not explain? They suckered us, guys. They suckered me, I know that. They got me. They're like, you like this music? Oh my God, it's just pulsating through my privates. Unbelievable. How many bad guys are in this movie already? Are you ready in the chat? Are you ready in this chat to explode? It is Tony Khan, you son of a bitch. So, you know, like a lot of you, let's go back to the backstory of everything before we talk about this real quickly. If you guys want to chime in with anything, Super Chats are on. If you want to chime in with anything else, Streamlabs is pinned to the top of the chat. Feel free to donate to the show if you want to. Everything you donate will be a help for Christmas, no doubt about it. So I appreciate it if you do, and you are donating to me and supporting the channel, no doubt about it. We need your love. So give it to me and I will explode in this video. But right now we're talking about Superman. Going back to the beginnings of Superman, dude. Let's go back. First of all, I loved Superman when I was a kid. We're going to go through everything really quickly, so bear with me. I loved Superman when I was a kid. When I was a little kid, I loved Superman. First, I loved Superman. And then when I was about 5 years old, it became more Batman, but it was always Batman, Superman, Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, that sort of thing. Now, I love the original Christopher Reeves Superman movies, right? I loved them. I watched them with my dad. It was a very, like, Star Trek thing for me. It's like Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, and then probably after that, it like Back to the Future, and then probably after that, it was like Batman, Superman were like the biggest things. So I loved Superman as a kid. I just loved it. I really loved Superman 2. And even though the first one's like the best, and I like the first one, Superman 2 was huge for me. So I love Superman 2. 1 and 2, just great. So anyway, fast forward, a few years later when I'm like 10 years old, Lois and Clark or whatever came out, Dean Cain on TV. That was actually a really good show. I didn't like love it, but I often found myself being hooked on it, watching it and stuff like that. So I really kind of liked that too. It was a nice little TV show. Years later after the Christopher Reeves movies, way after, right? What was like the last Christopher Reeves one was like 1989 or something. And then in like 2003 or 6 or something, they made another Superman movie, which was kind of supposed to be like it was Christopher Reeves. Like it was like that era Superman, but a different guy was playing Superman. And Lex Luthor was, what's his name? Kevin, or what's his name? God damn it, the guy who got canceled years ago. He's in so many things. What's his face? He did a really good job. I thought he played a really good Lex Luthor, especially comparing it to Gene Hackman. He was like a really good kind of sit-in version of Gene Hackman. Superman Returns is what it was called, yeah. So I kind of liked it. It felt like a big, huge budget, straight-to-DVD version of Superman or whatever. Kevin Spacey, yeah, thank you. Kevin Spacey did a great job as Lex Luthor. I would say that, like, the first 2 Supermans and then that one is probably third, and then the next 3 and 4. So anyway, that was just kind of like goofy and whatever. It was like the Ninja Turtles movie that came out. Remember the Ninja Turtles movie that came out in 2006 or 7? It was like a CGI Ninja Turtles. And that was supposed to be kind of like a continuation of the original movies in the suits, but it was like a story years later. That was actually pretty good. And that was kind of like Superman Returns. And what's weird is at that time and era, it was like Hollywood was trying to be like, hey, let's pick up where those old movies you loved left off. But it's obviously going to be a different casting and whatever. But let's pretend all that was real and we're still in that same universe, but it's different. And that's weird because you don't see that a lot. But that's what they were doing back then. Oh, shit. It is the man,
$9 for a fox.
Luis.
Someone donated 9. I got 9 inches inside of your wife. $9. I'm shooting my semen to the ceiling. I'm coming and my balls have turned blue. $9. Suck my dick.
Oh, yeah. Suck on it. Louis Urdaneta, man, thank you so much, man. He's always there. Like, even if somebody else isn't around or nobody else is around or whatever, no one's donating, Urdaneta is always here, man, to drop something. Dude, thank you very much for that $9, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, boy. Thank you so much, man. All right. So anyway, not a lot of people here yet, but if you guys can, please click the like button. That will help out immensely. Anyway, so then we get the Man of Steel movies, which we love Henry Cavill. He was such a great Superman. He's like one of the best cast Supermans. Love Henry Cavill. I really love the way that Krypton and the origin story was told of Superman in that one. It's almost so good. I wonder if that's why this movie's not going to have an origin story. because it's been beaten to death over a million times for you. And I'm almost wondering if this is successful, there's a potential that they could tell 1 or 2 or 3 movies with this Superman and then literally go back and do a prequel and do the origin story of this Superman, so that way you could then throw it in your library and put it number 1 and watch it first. That way Superman kind of makes sense and it has an arc. But I almost think that whether they do that or they never do that, time will tell. But if James Gunn were to watch my video right now, I would say, hey, man, if this is great and then you can make another great one and another great one, and then you're like, where do we go from here? I would do a prequel and tell the origin story with this Superman. That way it's a complete thing. But as of right now, I can understand why they don't want to do it, and they want to just kind of get to the Superman stuff. But anyway, Man of Steel, I really liked it. But after that, I really didn't want to watch superhero movies anymore, probably because I don't really like all the sub-superheroes and all the multi-dimensional stuff and, alternate universe.
You raised a piece of shit.
Shit is out of control.
Son comes in stepmom big milf jugs. Stepmom incest son mom cream pie toe sucking.
Thanks for the $4. What the fuck was that? I don't know. But anyway, thank you. 4. Kate, Cat, I don't know. Thank you. Hey man, you keep donating like that, I'll read whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. But no, Man of Steel I really liked Man of Steel, but it was like depressing. So Man of Steel started really great and emotional, and it was like, wow. But then the movie just kept being so heavy. And then, of course, by the end, when there's all the destruction, and then Superman, kills Zod, and it was snapping his neck or whatever, and it's just very dark. It's too dark, to be honest. And I get it, because we thought it should be dark at the time. We're like, it should be dark. Because Batman was dark, so maybe this should be dark. And in the end, I think the Krypton look and the Krypton story and, the origins of Superman was really done well. But after that, it starts to go kind of a little south. And it goes from, I believe, an 8 out of 10 movie down to a 7 or 6 out of 10. So then overall, the movie's like a 6, 8, or a 7. But it's a little dreary and whatever. Whereas the old Christopher Reeves movies, I mean, they just, they're so much better. There's so much heart. And, you feel like Superman really cares about people. I really hope that this movie has some scenes where Superman almost is crying because people are being hurt or in jeopardy, because when he acts that way and he really gets emotional about seeing people hurt, that really connects with you. And I don't think Henry Cavill did a lot of that, I want to say. Got to do a lot of that in those movies. And I think that Christopher Reeve did get to do that a few times in those original Superman. He really cared about the people. And so I think that if we can get that in this, then you've got something. Now let's get to this point. Let's get to the point of, I don't like all the other DC stuff almost that came after it. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be whatever. To me, it was just kind of like whatever. I had superhero fatigue. I didn't care anymore after Man of Steel, and after the Marvel, whatever the second one was, after Thanos snapped, whatever it was, Endgame or whatever, After War, I don't know. Anyway, after that, I was like, I think I'm done with superhero movies. Everything is woke now and stupid, and I just don't want to watch superhero movies anymore because it's made by woke, crazy, psycho people, and I've just had about enough of this shit. So I kind of tuned out. So I wasn't going to come back. And then I was really angry that they got rid of Henry Cavill. But I also understand why James Gunn kind of has to do it in a way. But I also think they probably could have told this story with Henry Cavill. But I sort of understand that there's a dilemma of we could do it with Henry Cavill, but it might be a little bit of a risk. Even though he's a great Superman, we want to sort of show you this is different, but we really want... I mean, this guy is basically hey, I want a Henry Cavill type of person to play this part, and they brought this guy in. This guy looks insanely like him, like his mini-me. This guy looks like his stunt double or his mini-me or his little brother or something, which I get is a little jarring because Superman looked so prominent before. But, this guy seems great. He looks looks like a perfect Superman. Henry did too. So that, once you get over that and you're not angry anymore about that, which I was angry about that, then you're like, well, the guy, even before I was like, well, that guy does look like Superman. He looks really good, and he looks like fucking Henry Cavill's like double. But why are they getting rid of Henry? And we all just liked Henry so much. He's so likable that, I really do think that they could have used him here and it would have been fine because people just love him so much. But it would have been confusing about the tone of the movies and they're different and whatever else. But then again, they're using John Williams' score. They're using John Williams' music in this, which is the first thing that made you go, oh my God. We all do, love the John Williams 1979 original score for Superman. It is amazing. It is heart-pumping. It gets you going. It is like Hulk Hogan's theme coming to the ring. That Americana feel is in this trailer that Superman's always had. And even though I know that they're sort of distancing themselves from the religious aspects of he's like Jesus type of thing, it's weird because the Henry Cavill one is the one that really didn't feel like that. It felt detached from that sort of thing. But Superman being like this actually still makes him feel a lot like that sort of Jesus character, Jesus vibe, which I don't think James Gunn likes religion at all, and I don't think James Gunn wants to portray that, but just inherently it is a bit portrayed because of the characteristics of Superman when he's told right. So you can make that comparison if you want. I don't think they meant to show that. In fact, I know they tried to veer away from that, but funny enough, this seems to come off more that way than the Man of Steel Superman did because that was so dark and Superman was so not like that. So I don't know. I think that this is whatever. Anyway, it's very colorized. This kind of has the look of almost kind of has that Fast and the Furious colorized Michael Bay glaze. Even in Star Trek, you got that a little bit. So I find it interesting. It looks very comic booky, which makes sense. It's a comic book originally. I love that they made Superman vulnerable to start the trailer because everyone is so used to Superman just the shit. So I like that they're starting right off with he's getting his ass kicked. What's wrong? What is happening? So I like that they did that. For a lot of people who are always like, oh, he's so good, it makes you wonder what's going on. It's actually a really good trailer like that. There's not a lot of dialogue. James Gunn also uses the font, sort of the glowing comic book font and movie font that they used a little bit in the 80s and 70s Superman movies, which is what this is really supposed to, in my opinion, this is a bit of that comeback. Like, hey, everything you loved about the 70s and 80s Superman, Christopher Reeve, we're kind of taking from that, but we're also taking a lot from the 1950s version of the Superman comics as well. So the other thing that's going to be controversial is that there's so many bad guys in this trailer. Like, it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of bad guys. It's surprising, actually. I've read probably the same 25 Superman comics in my life. I'm not a big comic guy, but what I am is a big nostalgia guy. So when I was 6 years old to 11 years old, probably 6 to 11, 5 to 11, something like that, I had about 25 Superman comics, right? Ranging from some early ones to some other ones to some, I don't even know what they are, to be honest. But I've read them quite a few times, and I read them so many times when I was a kid. I didn't read a lot when I was a kid. I don't read a lot now. I'm not a reader. I don't read well. But comics were always much easier for me to read, so I read them once in a while. But, they're burned in my head. So there are some things I noticed in this trailer from those comics that stuck out, and I was like, wow, okay. Kind of like in X-Men Days of Future Past with Wolverine having the iron metal go through his whole body and the Wolverine crippled card from the Flare and everything else. And anyway, so there's some things like that in this trailer where you're like, oh my God, that's that thing happening. Wow. But I didn't notice a lot of things like that. I'm sure that crazy Superman fan people did notice that. I didn't notice everything. But anyway, so there's a lot of people. There's a lot of bad guys going on here. Obviously, this is not an origin story. Everybody should know that. This is Superman already exists. Everybody already knows about him. And there's multiple other superheroes that already exist, and everybody knows about them. And we're picking up at that point in this movie. This is not an origin story. So, which is weird, but also I understand. There's been so many origin stories already that, and this sort of, I think, allows a lot of people to play a fantasy in their head where, like, if you loved the Man of Steel origin story, you can kind of pretend that this is sort of that Superman years later. If you love the Christopher Reeve origin story and some of the stuff that happened in that, you can kind of pretend that this is somewhat attached to that, I guess. I mean, maybe not. When I see the movie, I'll be like, oh, no, you really can't do that. But I think you kind of can. And you can build your own origin story of Superman in your head because you already know it so well because they've told it in so many things. I didn't mention Smallville because I actually never really watched Smallville. But Smallville was a really successful hit. It was really good. People really loved it. I can't wait to one day watch it and discover it because I've always heard it's such a great show. So at some point when I have time in my life, I'm going to watch Smallville, and that's pretty cool. So I can't wait. I don't have time right now, but someday I will. I'm going to see Sonic maybe at some point. Hopefully, I don't know yet. We'll see. But if I have the funds, I will go see Sonic. And I heard that this trailer is going to play probably at the beginning of that, so it's really cool. So that being said, there's a lot of bad guys in this movie. So many. I'm not going to break down everybody. Mephisto's this person, whatever. Like all the Superman villains to me always like make me laugh. Like Brainiac and whatever, Mephisto and Magnetic Face, and they just all sound ridiculous, to me. Those comic book versions. I think that's why I kind of like the movies because they sort of were grounded. But it looks like this is going to be the first movie that's like, no, this is a comic book. And we're going to introduce all those crazy comic book people. The music really got me. I love that the music is a toned back version of the John Williams. Because when you listen to the old John Williams theme, it has that, it definitely sounds dated, especially to younger people. It probably sounds really dated. Like the John Williams, it's so classic. I love it. It's perfect, but it has that dated sound. Like it's very like hokey almost now. Although I like it, but like if you can kind of modernize it up a little bit, and I'm hoping that it kicks in because when you listen to this theme, and yes, obviously Hans Zimmer did a great job too. Hans Zimmer's themes are I love Hans Zimmer. He's my favorite composer ever. But Hans Zimmer, it's a little dreary and shit like that. So I think some of Hans Zimmer's best stuff is like, Interstellar and The Rock and, Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. But I mean, he did okay on Batman. He did okay on Superman. But it's just so dark for superheroes. It's iconic, but it's just dark. It's different. But I feel like if this kicked in, like listen, like it ends like this. Like I hope at the end there's another part of this that we're missing where it's like and then just epic. Like I hope we get that epic take that build, right at the end. Like, give me this. Like, give me that. I don't want like the metal guitar version though. I want the like symphonic, like synthesizers, bass, that sort of thing. You gotta hit this. You got to hit this. Like more like they gotta tune it up with the snare and the bass and everything and get it like rolling, you know? Right there it is. Like this is where it gets fire right here. Like if you had at this end right here. And then it just kicked in right here, like this. Like it kicked in like here, like a little darker though. Like obviously I would hope it would like match that a little bit more, but I hope they get that really dramatic like pounding that happens, you know, or maybe it won't be, and it will all be that sort of slow symphonic version, which is also really cool. Like that's really cool. I really like it. It's the John Williams theme, but I hope they do go into that sort of that march. You know, it's kind of like a pulsating march, and I hope they hit that because it's so powerful. It's so good. Use it, and they are using it because they're using the John Williams. I would call it almost like a sweeping tease. It's just so good though. You could have made this trailer almost anything. Like it could have been Superman eating the dog out, and it would have been amazing because the music is so good. But anyway, speaking of the dog, crypto's in here, and it's not currency. Let me tell you that. Which I rarely ever even knew about Superman having a dog. I barely ever heard about it really. So I find that interesting. So, but it's so cute, and everyone's already freaking out. Like if that dog dies, I'm gonna kill myself in the theater. So, but that's really a good sign. Is that not a good sign? You've already got people freaking out online and videos everywhere. Like, if the dog dies, I'm going to freaking lose my mind. Oh, my God. Because they already like the dog. You know what I mean? Like, people already love the dog. It's everywhere. I mean, they're going to sell stuffed animals. They're going to just, it's incredible marketing. I'm not sure about Lex Luthor yet. You know, I know it's the guy who plays Beast, and he plays a bunch of other things. He's really good, usually. Looks like James Bond right here. That looks like GoldenEye is being made, but whatever. We'll see how he does. I think he's an interesting choice. Really, that's weird, but okay. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, Hans Zimmer is a beast, bro. Hans Zimmer's scores in so many video games have been great. I mean, I love The Rock though. And then what's the submarine movie that he did? Hans Zimmer did a submarine movie too, and that was really good too. That and The Rock, and then of course Pirates of the Caribbean, and so many other things after that. But Hans Zimmer is probably my favorite composer. But I certainly think John Williams' Superman score is much better than anyone's. So, I mean, John Williams beats Hans Zimmer as far as Superman goes. But, nobody can beat, but Hans Zimmer is my favorite. But yeah, John Williams' music coming back in this trailer is really cool. Like that really, I mean, that just, oh my God, did that get me? They got me. Tons of bad guys, like we said. I think Lois Lane looks amazing. She looks like Lois Lane. She definitely looks like the Lois Lane from the Christopher Reeve movies. She really has that vibe. She looks like a woman. She looks pretty. She looks regular. She's not like some horror thing or whatever. That's good. You know, if Michael Bay was making this, she'd be like a hooker. If somebody else was making this, she'd be probably a fat black lady. You know, it's just like everybody looks like the comics portrayed. Things look really good. It's not woke. It doesn't seem. There's some differences some places, but like, I mean, that's fine with me. We're in a different modern time. They really, I mean, James Gunn is a guy who, you know, was a little bit of an SJW, and then all his messages about little kids came out, which was weird, but he makes jokes. I made jokes too. I just didn't like that James Gunn was a you know, had a double standard. But James Gunn is a funny dude and a weird guy, but he kind of gets emotion, and he did a good job with most of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff and some other things. So I would hope he could do this. He could pull it off. But this trailer certainly is pretty good. It's pretty well received. It could be a trash movie for all we know. I like the colorization. I like that it looks a little comic booky. Kind of like that. Everything looks really pretty good so far. We don't know anything about what's going to happen though, so we don't know. But it just, like, this was a positive reaction all across the board for everybody. So I think all of us are on board that we're going to see this movie, and everybody's excited for it. And guys, at the way this is going right now, with the positive feedback that this is receiving from far right type of people to very critical people to people that love everything and far left people and every political group and every race and every whatever, women, men, I have not seen much of a negative from anybody. I've seen some people who are like, I'm skeptical, but looks good. So everybody is giving it a thumbs up mostly. For the most part, like, it's a thumbs up, you know, very confident thumbs up, or at least okay, this could be okay. So guys, as long as the other trailers that come out for it don't allude to something terrible, I'll tell you, this movie could be one of the biggest movies we've seen in years in the like for the box office and for the movie theater, because we haven't had I mean, this movie could do better than Wicked. This movie certainly could do better than Spider-Man, maybe. I mean, Superman could be back with this movie. We'll see. Cody Rhodes is Superman. Well, yeah, Cody Rhodes does have the sort of Jesus American hero vibe, so you're damn right he could be. But anyway, that's all I came on here to say. I hope you guys can, you know, share this video around everywhere. Give it a like. I want to watch Smallville. I haven't. Drew Bar, what's up? Yeah, I haven't either. So there you go. We can both kind of do it. Superman movie is woke activist, says Don Grizzle. Really? You're the first person I've heard say that. I hope not. I hope not. If this movie doesn't work out, I mean, yikes. Superman may disappear for like 10 years if this doesn't work out. You know? I will go on record saying, man, if this doesn't work, Superman's going away for like 10 years. They're going to put that away for a while. Until everybody who loved the Christopher Reeve movies is dead. You know what I mean? Because the 80s, the 70s, so 70, 80, 90, 2000, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so by the year 2045 to 2050, they'll bring Superman back. They'll be like, all right, everybody who loved the 80s movies is dead. Everybody who, you know, saw those other movies is forgotten by now. And there's everybody 30 years old and younger doesn't really have a point of reference for Superman. So we'll bring back Superman. He'll go away until the year 2040. We'll see. That'd be kind of crazy, Alfredo. I don't think so, though. I think they're separating that as well. Anyway, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Great to see everybody here. And Smallville is the reason I love Superman now, and I used to hate him. Yeah, I mean, Smallville's really good. I didn't see it, like I said, but I always heard that Smallville was good. When it was on the air, it was doing really well. People loved it. It was just really good. So I think what was it called? The Adventures of Lois and Clark from 1994 or whatever. I really liked that Dean Cain one. I thought that was pretty good. So the TV shows have been pretty good for Superman. But I love Superman 1 and 2 from 79 and 83 or whatever they were. Just love those two Superman movies. When Superman shows up to fight Zod in the middle of the movie or whatever it is, and then when Superman, gets his powers at the end of the movie, love those movies. All right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow night, Friday night. Be here. Hopefully I won't get suppressed like right now. 58 viewers. Yikes. It is a weird topic, though. It's not wrestling. But I'm excited. I think most people are. We really could have talked another hour about this, but I got to get out of here, so I'm going to get out of here. But interesting. It's not an origin story. And there's all these other superheroes and bad guys going on, and it's all existing in the world. And so that's going to be very interesting to see how that's portrayed. And how they pull that off without doing a prequel or rather not a prequel, but a origin story. So I think I'll just watch the beginning of Man of Steel, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll watch this. There's my origin. All right, guys, I'll catch you later.